Hi, YouTube. Trying to go live on thing, and I'm having a real. There we go. We are live.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Fuck Your Feelings, the show. It is Thursday night, 9:30 East Coast.
Hello.
You do the time adjustment for your area the best you can, and welcome everybody. Um, as usual, we're just gonna kind of parlay a minute and give some folks some time to jump in and say hello and all that good stuff. And then we'll get into the topic and we'll just go from there. I guess we could do a little recap. Like last week, we did the dating profiles and we've been kind of tiki-keying all week off of those. So we'll probably do another episode of that because that went by so fast that we definitely could do another episode or two. Just reading people's profiles and providing feedback on them. And, is that what you want to be saying or not?
Yeah, the world
Seems
out
like
there
a
is
lot of
interesting.
them, that's not what they wanted to be saying. But
And it's funny because I think a lot of people think that they can represent themselves really well, and the dating profiles realize that the things that you might think is important isn't the same.
what's going on, guys? That must be Tosh.
Right? So I think that's the interesting part about dating. The way you think you're representing yourself isn't the way other people are seeing you. And of course, it was interesting for us to have the male female perspective because there's some things I completely just missed.
Yeah,
I was
and
like, wow.
analytics is my thing. So really dissecting and forensically and analyzing people's stuff is just something I enjoy doing. Period. So yeah, and I just think that it's really symbolic of this is it's just what it is. But in my opinion, in 2022, most people can't even talk.
Oh. So communicate.
So of course they can't write well. Like of course the profile is going to be kind of spastic because conversation is kind of becoming a lost art. That's why we're doing this. We kind of want to bring the chat back.
We want to bring conversation back, and conversation is so damn important. And yes, you are so right. I think that was part of it. A lot of people don't know how to converse anymore, so then they try to communicate about themselves online, and it's a whole different thing. But
it's just a big, huge run-on sentence.
Facts. So we're going to be talking about sexual discipline this week.
Yeah.
And God, I realized that you put my book over there, and now I have to stand up. And I really don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the Kendrick Cam. Okay, I have to get my book.
You don't want to keep that.
It was supposed to be in the couch. But we're going to do sexual discipline. It's not quite the Kendrick Cam, but y'all need to see this because I'd be in the gym. But we're going to be doing talking about sexual discipline, primarily Rob's sexual discipline and how Rob got to a point of sexual discipline, and a little bit of body count. Yes, we're talking about your sexual discipline.
Excuse me.
You was a hoe. You were a hoe.
First off,
you were a hoe. Can you just admit I was a hoe?
I am a
My name is
Rob.
Did y'all hear him? He says he's a hoe maker. Okay, Robert. All right. I am done with you.
This show's not about to be about me. One, because there's a spectrum of sexual discipline.
There's a spectrum.
I've never been Mr. 5 2s make a dime.
No, I'm not talking about just because you don't deal with women under a certain number or a certain level means that you're not a hoe. Like I'm still a hoe. I never said that you were just sleeping with everybody, and I think that's what we need to talk about, right? Like, what does it mean to have sexual discipline? Just because you're standard, so you did have standards. I will, based on our conversation about your sexual history, you did have standards about the type of women that you would sleep with, but you didn't have a hey, she meets my standard. Let me wait 3 months and court her.
Oh, no.
Exactly. So you're a hoe.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Man, okay. So yeah, we'll get into that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's 2022. I pay a lot of attention on Instagram. I actually study it a bit. And
you cannot compare when we were going up to 2022. Hold'em is on a next level now, like very much so.
Because if it was social media, there might be a bit more evidence lingering
of your
around.
hold'em.
And I don't know, but I also know how I move, and I probably would be moving differently.
Of your hold'em, exactly.
Because of how it's cameras everywhere today.
That
Just
is
because
fact.
it's cameras everywhere don't mean you got to be on them.
I agree. So yes, you would probably move differently. And I always say that. I think most of us who grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s would move differently if we were in a space of social media.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of self-snitching. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, this modern day doesn't, yeah, I don't get it.
So I'm going to give you one of the poll questions because I don't know if you answered the poll this week.
I did.
Well, I'm going to find out because I didn't actually check. Usually I check to see how you answer because we do not talk about these poll results. Everybody, we kind of just, I put polls up and then Rob answers or not. And then I kind of see what everybody else is saying. So this was an interesting question. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, does sexual discipline and body count go together? And there's some people who would say yes. So my first question was, I want to know what you think. Does asking to wait to have sex equal less sexual desire?
Not really, no.
So 40% of people said yes, and 60% of people say no. Now, when I think about it in today, I think the vast majority of people really, if we had a younger crowd, would say yes. I think because we have an older audience, and thank God for that, that's what we want. Most people said no because they understand that it's not tied. But in today's society, like, sex is everything, right? If you don't want to jump my bones, it means that you are not attracted to me. They tie sexual desire to want, and like you said, attention versus intention. Mm-hmm. A lot of women these days are thinking that the more you want me, the more you have intention for me instead of just attention. Where our age group understands that you actually need discipline, period. Forget just sexual discipline. I think we grew up in an era where, again, you woke up, you went to school, you walked, you were out before the street lights, out, like, you were doing stuff. This generation is lazy. Like, this is a lazy generation. They have no discipline. And I grew up a child in this generation, and thank God I didn't grow her that way. But this generation has no discipline. So if they have no general discipline, I wouldn't think that they would have any sexual discipline.
Absolutely not.
And we're also over inundated with sex. And as much as we love sex, and I do.
Where do you think all these babies coming from?
Exactly. Because there's no sexual discipline.
And the discipline also involves contraception and things of that nature. Conversations around that. Like, I don't know. I think, and I'd love to have someone in a generation before us to be involved in this conversation, because it's been kind of like this slowly loosening up of morals and standards. And it got us to this place that I guess everybody was like, oh, great, no more shame, have sex with who you want to, live your life how you want to. And now we a couple of decades into it, and it's like, yo, this is not what I signed up for.
Well, let's talk about when you were a kid, because I tease you a bit, but you were a hoe. So,
well, there's always been hoes, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is not nothing new.
But let's go through.
No, I'm not going to make this show about me.
We did.
We're going to talk
in my
about
promo,
it.
I told people.
Well, I don't care what you told them. I'm not about to walk people through my sexual history.
I'm not saying your sexual history. I'm talking about how, as a man who was always throwing panties at you since you were a child, how you develop sexual discipline. I don't even know your number. So I would never tell people your number. I don't know your number.
So the first thing is,
you've been having sex for 32 something years, 32 years, a lot of years. You're 46. You started having sex when you're like 13, 14. Your mama confirmed it. Your mama confirmed it. I'm just saying. And my mother-in-law confirmed it.
I love my mama, but she is not the most reliable witness either. I love her though. Okay, so when I was actually relatively chilled young though. I mean, I got into a situation kind of out of curiosity and, kind of not.
What situation? You got to talk to people. What was the situation you got into out of curiosity? Give us some stories. Let people in.
How I lost my virginity. I guess that one would be interesting.
I don't even know the story. Do tell.
Oh, I never told you this?
No, do tell.
So, this was seventh grade. And end of the year, towards the end of the year in 7th grade.
The 7th grade.
So I was like right around turning 4.
No.
13.
13. Thank you.
13. Okay. And we had rode the bus, and it was one of those schools that was like 6 to like
8.
10.
Oh, wow.
It was like 6 to 10 back in the days. I was in Florida at the time. We was living in Orlando.
Okay.
And it was just normal, and it was this one particular girl, her name, Spanish chick, her name was Gladimar, and I just had been crushing on her, but I ain't never say nothing. But I know she used to catch me staring at her, you know what I'm saying? And everybody stared at her. She was arguably one of the prettiest girls in school. And never nothing. And then it was literally like the last couple of days of school. And I don't know what was going on, but she used to get off before us, right? And this particular day, she got off at our stop. It was like when the apartments dump out, they just let all the kids out. Y'all go about your business. So when she hopped off, she was just kind of, and I wasn't thinking nothing of it. And then she just kind of rolled up on me like, yo, walk me home. And I was like.
And what grade was this young lady in?
She was probably like in 9th grade.
Oh, okay. All right. Continue.
She's like 15.
Oh, right.
15, 16.
Okay.
And I was like, kind of deer in the headlights type of energy, like, okay, yeah, for sure. And it was probably, I don't know, 15, 20-minute walk. She lived in like a residential complex. So like her parents had a house and crib and all that. And I guess they was out of town. And I completely guessed that she decided that this is how this whole thing was going on.
So you guys had never spoken before?
Yeah, we talked all the time, but it would always be like, you cute and stuff like that, but never like no serious like rhythm. She was older. She treated me like I was younger. You know what I mean? Like it was nothing serious. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you're in school, the pecking order of grades matters.
Got it.
So, and I also think it was kind of like she didn't want to it actually was the fact she didn't want to publicly claim me. That was kind of like, damn, shorty, like right off the rip. So, we went to her crib. She kind of, again, I ain't say much. I wasn't trying to mess up nothing. I kind of had an idea like, oh, this could be it. You know what I mean? This could be it. And for sure. And like afterwards, it was just like a total like back to normal. You know what I mean? And
so you lost your virginity.
No
with your
plans
girl,
for over the summer, like linking up. And I mean, again, I'm crushing on this girl. And when I tried to have that conversation, it was basically like, again, y'all, you're so cute, but you too young. I can't take you serious, like that type of energy.
But I'll give you pum pum. Mothers do better with your daughter, because that was 30-something years ago, and that's a disappointing story for me. If I was her mother, I would be disappointed.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting nothing like suave or no.
So you didn't have to court her. You didn't have to do anything. You got off the bus, and she took you to her home, her parents' home that her parents are paying for when her parents are out of town, and gave you the business, and then said, "That is mothers, please do better with your daughters."
I think that was her first time too.
That was not her first time.
I honestly do. I do think that was her first time.
That was not her first time. Any little girl who is that fast to be thinking about all of that, to get off your thing, to walk you home.
But I couldn't.
That was not her first time.
Other dude that she didn't do it. Nobody. Well, maybe.
But if she's keep making you her sneaky link, what do you think the other things did?
So it wasn't even a link. It was just a one time.
Exactly.
Thing. So I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Never followed up. I don't even know if I ever seen her again. No, because we moved back to Rochester after that summer.
So she gave you pum pum at 12 when she was 14.
Why do you keep rounding down?
No, you
I
were. Oh,
was
sorry, you're
legitimately
13.
13.
Okay, you were 13. Was it the last day of school? Like, what
No, it
was
was
this?
towards the end of school, but this is like it's just definitely late May, early June.
Okay, so yes, I will give her that. You had turned 13. This older young lady finally gives you some play, and you guys never talk again.
Not never talk, but we never linked up again.
Got it. Interesting. So for you, what was that like? Like, that's interesting because it said to
Honestly,
you,
it kind of chilled me
sex
out.
is easy.
Well,
That had to have said that to you.
Kinda.
Sex is easy.
And you gotta
you
remember,
have to do any work for it.
and you gotta remember, I got my nutty mom in my ear always of just, you're not gonna be a certain type of dude. You're not gonna be a fall over your feet for women type of guy. You know what I mean? So she used to talk to me a lot of just the things women like. She was like, women will lie their ass off. Like, don't believe them. And certain, like certain things. She was just like, you gotta really pay attention to a woman and see if she's who she really says she is and shit like that.
That's fair.
So, and I was just kind of mature because I've always been a watcher. Like, I just sit back and peep shit.
But I'm thinking about how that imprinted on you.
It imprinted on me, like, so maybe you could say sex was easy, but it also really,
maybe
I kind of self-disciplined, like yo, I ain't really even ready for all of this because emotionally, I really liked her. You know what I mean? So it was the like full-fledged curve. Like, I was 0 for 1 in my opinion. You know what I mean? Got the girl and lost her like in 2-3 days.
I think you lost her the moment you were done. She said,
well, again,
I
never had her, but again, in my mind, this go with that, etc. You know what I mean? I was almost like Young Miami, like we go together.
And she was like, no, Negro.
Like, no, we don't. No, we don't at all. And again, I think with Spanish, like me being a black dude, I think it was just other shit going on.
Well, as a mother who's raised a young girl to adulthood, I would be so
I would be disappointed in my daughter if that was how she went about things. But again, like just knowing her, like she was really like aggressive when she wanted to be, but I'd never seen her with no other dudes either.
Well, nobody saw her with you. She probably got off a lot of buses at the last stop and told them to walk her home.
Facts. So I really now think about. I ain't thought about that shit in like.
Thank
forever.
you for the story. So now you're at a point where you're 13 years old. You've done the deed.
And I wasn't even out there like that. Like I really was kind of like, I'm chill, man. Like if this is what it. Again, obviously it was a good experience. It wasn't bad, but it didn't make me feel like, oh, I got to do this again. You know, I had as a younger dude, I was really kind of worried about having a kid, you know. So, and I again correlated sex and kids
together. Like, I can get that.
I ain't want to really be pushing it too fast in the romance department. I was trying to live fast, like about money and finances and shit like that. But with the girls, I was like, you kind of keep them because I could see all of my, like, you just growing up the way I did, you just seeing all of the problems that women created men. Like, and my mama is my mama. So I seen her just have a man on the pinky, the index finger, the middle finger, and the thumb. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and you weren't trying to be one of those men.
Yeah, nah, never that.
But I love how you said you correlated sex and children.
Yeah,
so that almost makes you, and it should at least make you have sexual discipline. Because in your mind, if I keep having sex, and again, you got imprinted on, whether you think so or not, you got imprinted on the first woman you had sex with, because then sex was easy for you. You did nothing but get on a bus and get off a bus and have a couple of conversations. You didn't have to bring her candy. You didn't have to take her to the school dance. You have to do anything. You just had to be you and 6 foot whatever at 13 years old. And that was enough to get women. So now you've imprinted that women are easy. Like, again, that's the truth. If our 13-year-old son comes home and that's his story about losing his virginity, you got imprinted that women are easy and it's easy to have sex. But you also understood, being the son of a young mother, that shit, all this sex can lead to me being a young dad. And I don't want that. And you
don't know what she's on. So you might just be trying to bust a nut, but you don't know what the fuck she's on. And that was kind of why it always was like
chill.
toe in the water type of energy with me.
And I think that's the interesting part, because I think if people saw, I think these days people see sex as fun, and they don't think about the repercussions and consequences. Because that was big for me. Was like, I didn't even want kids. I don't ever remember sitting around talking about the white picket fence and so forth and so on. When I got pregnant with my daughter, I knew I wanted her. And so I only had the one child, but I did the same thing. To me, like sex and kids, and I don't want kids, and I don't want the responsibility of kids. I want to live my best life. And after I had her, I was like, you don't only need to do something once to realize you don't like it. I was like, I don't like this, and I'm never doing this again. So I need to be in a space. And I wasn't always sexually disciplined. I'm not going to sit here and lie to people, right? Like, but I was disciplined about pregnancy and babies. That I was disciplined about. Like, I am not about to be having anybody's babies just running around, children with different men. That was like a huge thing for me. Again, I saw the disappointment in my father's eyes when I was 21 and pregnant, graduating university, and he wanted so much more from me. I was never going to see that disappointment again. And again, you only have to do something once to realize you don't fucking like it. And I did not like birth, and I did not love motherhood. Love my child, don't like motherhood. So for me, that was my sexual discipline. So I guess my question is, do you feel like there needs to be something that stops you, that says that if I'm not disciplined in this area, I could fuck up my life?
Yeah,
because sexual discipline, because not having sexual discipline can fuck up your life.
I said there's there's like on one end of the spectrum, you got the guy who sleeps with anything, the girl who will sleep with anyone, the like legitimate sex addict type of energy. Then on the other one, you got like a monk in the Himalayas who ain't had sex in 50 years and ain't thinking about it.
But you got to have something in between. Yeah,
that's where most of us land. So you're going to be leading toward, you're going to have a more conservative, some people are going to treat it more conservatively. Some people are going to treat it more loosely. The people that I find hilarious that are the ones that are like super 304s that then be like, I'm celibate. Like, that should be hilarious to me.
So you don't think, here's the thing, because I think like you had to, and we're going to go back to you in a moment, but you had to learn sexual discipline. First of all, I think discipline, period, you have to learn. No one just gets up. Like, I will give you my story. I get up in the morning. I just added about 2 weeks ago where I go for about a 4 to 5 mile walk, after which I go to the gym and I do either another mile run or a walk. I lift weights, I come back, I meditate, I eat well, I do all of that. I didn't wake up always doing that, right? Like, that took time for me to develop. At 42, yes, I've been doing this since I was a young kid because I grew up running track in Jamaica, but it was something that I developed over time. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I fell off, but I never fell off. Oh, fuck's sakes. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, that's what I live with. Huge reaction to...
No, because it's annoying.
Well, you got the shit.
So, sorry guys, that was all my fault. But anyways, I never got into a space where I wasn't disciplined enough so that I would completely fall off of the train of, again, fitness. So I don't think it's impossible, funny enough, to go from being a 304 to deciding to be sexual discipline. Now, I think the celibacy, part is crazy.
Okay.
That I think is crazy. I think going from, being with every Tom, Dick, and Harry and then having a bunch of kids and then turning around to the next man and saying you have to wait till marriage to be with me is crazy.
It is.
But I don't think getting into a space where you're like, shit, like, this is actually not smart for me. I need to get my shit together. And you should get your shit together before you have a bunch of kids.
Ideally.
You should.
Ideally.
I'm not even saying ideally. You should.
Man, when we talking about reality, I don't like using should because, man.
Well, I'm going to say definitively it is smart for men and women to become more sexually disciplined before having a load of kids.
I think in this day and era, especially where sex has been so commoditized and has become so transactional, They're like, again, it's a lot of 304s, male and female, that they don't see themselves as that because they like, oh, I'm on OnlyFans, or oh, I'm getting a bag, or oh, I'm doing this, or oh, I'm doing that, or I'm doing the third. And I'm just like again, I know I'm getting older, so I guess it's easy to talk like that. But I just from my own experience, that's not what I want with my son. You know, for my son, it's just like I said, all the good shit in life you don't get access to until you join your life with somebody else's life. Like I really truly think of that. But it also feels like in 2022, if you have sex with somebody, y'all in a relationship. And that's like the exact opposite of that.
And
You know
I
what I
see
mean?
it
And
very
that's,
differently.
yeah, man, I'm telling you, that's how they move
I
out
don't
here,
see it
man.
that way. I think in 2022,
If she
sex
like
does
you,
not equal a relationship.
if
That's
she
the
likes
problem.
you,
Too many women are trying to be like, I can have a sneaky link, and I can have a side thing,
yeah,
and there's
that
no
too.
emotions to sex, and
That
I
too.
can call you over from Tinder and bang you, and basically what your first little time did, and never speak to you again. I think back in our day, sex did mean a relationship because, except for your experience, most men courted the young lady they had sex with for their first time. Like, go ahead.
No, because I think what I'm saying, a relationship has a certain level of depth. I would say like a minimum depth.
Okay.
Like you can't call a puddle a lake. Like a lake got to be, I don't know what it would be technically, but it's got to be a certain size. It's got to be a certain depth. So when I'm saying relationship, I'm trying to qualify it as a certain point. Like there's actually something that's been built there between two people. You know what I'm saying? We live in a day of one night stand babies. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
but still, the one night stand baby is not a relationship because women will have one night. Here's the thing: these women will have one night stand babies and actually don't communicate with the dad.
Man isn't in a relationship with you, but you have tied yourself to that
yes,
man.
you're permanently tied to the man through a baby, which is to me ridiculous.
In her mind, it's a relationship. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we have, and that's one that is a bit more skewed towards the female end of things. Is I was just talking with my homeboy about that. I was like, yo, the reason your situation is bad is because you don't live in the reality. You don't get to live in reality with this person. You live inside of what's in her head. You know what I'm saying? Whatever she's thinking is going on, that is the reality. It doesn't matter what's actually going on. And I think there's a lot of females like that. Like if she thinks something, that's what it is. It doesn't matter if that's what's actually going on. So we had sex. That means we're in a relationship. It doesn't matter if he's like sat down like, you my girl, blah, 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 blah. She's in a relationship. She's telling people that's my man.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. The man should have had more sexual discipline than to give his dick away to a woman who's got, because you can tell a woman's mindset.
Too tight. She's not wrapped tight.
You can tell a woman's mindset if you took the time to converse.
Facts. And that's what I'm saying.
It's not that hard to figure out people.
That's why it's on men. So I think it's like it's out of order, man. Like
here's my thing. I'm going to make a bold statement. More sexually disciplined men equals less fuckery in society. Facts. Yeah. I'm going to say, if the more sexually disciplined men are, the less fuckery there would be in society. Because the reality is, just because somebody gives you the pom-pom doesn't mean you have to take it. And a lot of you know, and again, I love men. I am an advocate for men, but a lot of you cannot decipher, hey, quality woman, quality pom-pom. They should probably go together. Free, like available pom-pom to some of you, that's it. And the thing about it is, to me, sexual discipline on a man's end means that there's less single parent homes, means that there's less women who feel that they can use their body sexually as, trappings for men. Like, I believe that sexual discipline on a man's end would change a lot of what happens in society. If you're telling women and curbing women, I think a lot of these women, if they were being curbed by the type of men that they want, that would change everything.
I agree with you. I can't even really argue with that, because what you're basically arguing is like the argument that and I hate to lean on religion right now, but that's kind of the difference between religion and secularism, is that in a like say, if in a Islamic law country, sexual discipline of men is required. It doesn't mean all men have sexual discipline, but those that don't tend to get dealt with pretty differently than they do over here. You might not just have a bunch of baby mamas. You might like be in jail or beheaded or some shit like that because you don't went too far. So
it would make people have to work. Women, as a woman, I'm going to speak specific. As a woman, I don't really have to work for dick.
No, not at all.
I just need to go outside. I just need to be out again. When I go for my walks, I tell you every morning, the amount of honks that I get going for my walk every morning is actually incredible. And these men have not seen my face. They've seen nothing. All they see is my body, because they're usually coming from behind. And I've got an ample bottom, and it's real. And so it's doing its thing down the street. And again, all these men, I had a man stop me today, made me cross the street to tell me how beautiful I was and my body was banging, all that stuff. Very nice. I don't have to do anything for a man. If women had to work to get men the way men have to work to get women, and less these days, but it would be a whole different world. If you curbed me and was like, tell me about your future plans. Tell me about, again, 3 men that you admire in your life. Tell me about your relationship with your father. Like, qualified me before having sex with me, a lot of these women would not pass the test, and they would have to be better. Society does not require women to be good or great at anything. We are okay with a society of mediocre women.
No, because the burden of performance isn't on women. So you actually got me really rethinking a lot of this quote unquote manosphere stuff, because that is facts. What you're spitting right now is that the burden of performance is not on women. Patrice O'Neal made the joke that, safe sex is a woman's responsibility. And it was a really clever joke, and he made a really good case on it. But I don't think that's the case, because
not in today's society.
Historically that was the case, because shame came with, pregnancy out of wedlock and things along
and it did. You had disappointment because you had daddies.
Yeah, you had daddies, you had families. They was like, yo, this ain't cool, and Lord knows, not knowing who your child's father is completely unacceptable.
But now there's a whole show about it.
There's a whole show that runs 24/7. I know, because she watches it 24/7. Women in there just dragging men in and out of court because they're not sure who the father of their child is, and that's crazy. So we have entered kind of a very different era in society where, safe sex, reproductive discipline, reproductive control has fallen onto men. It really is. It's now protect your seed, because Lord knows most of these women are not protecting their womb. You can't take that for granted. I think a lot of dudes it's like I liken to, like, look, if you was a crackhead in like the late 70s, early 80s, it's kind of like, ain't nobody,
you didn't know what crack did to you. You didn't know
what it was doing to you. You know what I'm saying? But if you was like a crackhead in like 02, I'm like,
you've seen enough. Your brain on drugs commercial.
I think you kind of know what the entail is of this whole story you got going on. So I think a lot of dudes kind of got caught up in that, not really recognizing that shift of like, oh snap, if she gets pregnant, she's definitely having this baby, kid.
And that's the only qualifier to becoming a mom.
Right. If you have a job, it's like the car dealership. Like, if you have a job, she's having a kid because she can drag you to court.
But let me give you a scenario. I'm going to give you a scenario. You know those speed dating events, right?
Yeah.
They're usually dominated by women, right?
Absolutely.
And it's usually a bunch of women, and they rotate the bunch of men, and then the men have to prove to the women why they should hang out and date, all of that stuff. Let's reverse that. A speed dating event with 20 qualified men and 100 women had to compete to get the attention of those 20 men, and you actually had them valid question. Women would be forced to compete. Women don't need to compete. I don't need to compete for a man.
And it's not, and
it's not a good thing. It's not something I think is a great thing. I understand that in this relationship, I tell people all the time, I compete for you every day.
And let's be real, like in this, like I was joking yesterday, BBL technology is amazing. Like you can buy sexy these days as a woman. Like they showed it was in, I mean, it was kind of being mean, but it was facts though. They showed a picture of like 13-year-old Kendall Jenner.
Oh yeah.
And the current Kendall Jenner. It was like, damn, like there's no way that's supposed to turn into that. But spend $10,000 a month on how you look, and that's how you can get there.
And Kendall Jenner was actually the prettier of the two Jenner sisters. Kylie was
It was Kylie.
Kendall was prettier. Kylie was the.
I'm not a big
Again, I used to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and Kylie was the ugly duckling for the Jenner sisters, just like Khloe was the ugly duckling for the Kardashian sisters, right? And again, we now see what they've transformed into, and now it's like, oh my God, Rich. Again, Kylie. Funny enough, I actually respect Kylie for what she got more sense Travis
than most of her sisters,
and
it does seem like
keep her life. But again, it's one of those things where, as women, if men were sexually disciplined and we had to actually truly compete and had to be better, where you were just like, next, like, no, you don't qualify. Like, you don't qualify. But here's the problem. Somewhere out there, there's a man having sex with a woman who's got 6 kids and 6 baby daddies, potentially becoming her 7th. Those type of women should not qualify for men. Why do they still do? Because men need to become sexually disciplined. I remember there was a guy I met and he was fine as hell. The man was fine. I was like, damn, this man is fine. He told me he had 7 kids and 7 baby mamas. My pum-pum dried up so quick. I was like, yeah, I ain't, no, thank you. I don't care how fine you are. That is not something like you breathe on me. Right thank there, you. You breathe on me. I'm about to get pregnant and I'm not doing that. Okay? Because laying down and open up your legs to get an abortion is not a cool thing. So I was like, I'm staying away from you. Imagine if y'all men went, after a woman said, 2 kids, how many daddies? 2, not fucking with you.
And here's that's a good example to use, because on one hand you got one sexually irresponsible man,
mm-hmm.
but you got 7 sexually irresponsible women, and unfortunately they bear no shame or accountability for their responsibility. When you're a man and you can't take care of your kids, they put your ass in jail.
Yeah.
When you're a woman and you can't take care of your kids, they give you Section 8 and and EBT and all this other kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Women are actually incentivized, and the government is like, I don't know. They try to put these rules in, like you got to have a job and all this stuff. Like, man, no, it's incentivized to jack up communities. You know what I'm saying?
But again, if you went
baby daddy algebra,
if you went and curb the hell out of these women,
I think
I'm sorry. Give me a second. I'm going to say this. Well, I don't think any woman who comes to you at the point where she's got 3 kids and 3 baby daddies should be getting no dick. I'm sorry. Like, I think 2 for me is depending on the situation. But a woman's coming to you and you're because remember, you're pre-qualifying a woman. And that's the problem. A lot of y'all men don't have pre-qualifiers. You pre-qualified me, right? That's why I'm here. You pre-qualified me.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, if you don't have a pre-qualifier for a woman and she says, you know what? I've been sexually irresponsible 3 times because I gave 3 different men babies. And he said, oh, no, that's great. Look at that ass.
Here's the thing I think you're missing is that this has shifted. Men didn't have to play this role in dating or in sex or in anything.
Well, you have to now.
Thank you. So that's why I made the example of like getting jammed up with crack in the 80s. And just like some people made it to recover from that and not be crackheads anymore and move on with their life and stuff like that. And some people just stayed in that place. And that's why you got guys that they didn't catch up, and it was 6 babies, 7 babies, 8 babies, 9 babies. Like, who knows what men can bust nuts till they die.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
You can have babies when you're 100.
And if you don't catch up to the game, it's like, oh wow, these women, like, chances are if she gets pregnant, she's gonna have the kid. And then there's other men that have adapted and said, oh yeah, I definitely gotta be more careful out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Because they poking holes in condoms and all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You have Hence the whole Drake hot sauce issue. You know what I mean? And it's what? That's what you get. And I like the way that it was done, because then it's like, and you outed yourself. You know what I mean?
Because you're trying to do some whole shit. Like,
you're totally trying to do some whole shit.
I'm trying to do some whole shit. Here's the thing. I was talking to a friend of mine, funny enough, yesterday. He gave me a call. Good friend of mine's from back home. He's 40, no kids, right? So we're catching up, chopping up, and he's telling me about these two women that he's dated. And I ixnayed both of them, right? Like, I was just, don't tell me no more. Like, they've just been disqualified. Like, he's like, Sheba, stop it. But one was older, 48, 3 different kids, same dad. I will give it that. It was the same dad. However, she basically is going through counseling, therapy, because it was a toxic relationship. There might have been some abuse, whatever happened. One was a little bit younger. She was 40. Oh, and the 48-year-old also wanted to have another child. Don't ask. What? And thank you. And this one, because apparently she thinks she's Janet Jackson and got Janet Jackson money. And the other one was 40 and being 2 kids and 2 different dads. And I said to him, why would you want to put yourself in a situation where that's the type of woman that you end up with? You're a man with no kids, who's very eligible, who's got a successful business and all of that. Why would you even put yourself in a situation? Because at the end of the day, these women see you as a prize. You're a man with no kids, with a successful business, who travels all the time, who makes good money, who does all of that. Why would you put yourself, you said, well, the sex is great. I said, well, the sex is going to be so great that it's going to end you up with a baby. Sorry. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I said to him, you need to be dating women between 20. I kept changing the age, but I was about 28 to about 34. No kids, who are looking to have a family, because again, at the end of the day, at 40, you don't even know if you want to have any kids. He still doesn't know if he wants to have kids. And I said, if you want to have kids, it's not with a woman who's already given it to someone else, and you have to deal with the dramas from the other father. How does that make sense? I don't care how good the sex is, because the reality is those women are looking at you like good prey. That should not happen. Y'all are the predators. So nowadays, women have become predators, because they're like, oh yeah, that's a good man right there. Let me see how I can get him. And if you're not sexually disciplined, you end up being the baby daddy of some woman you don't want a future with. You went for sex, and she ended up having a baby. So to me, and again, I love men, and I'm saying this for men, less sexually disciplined men equals fuckery in society. More sexually disciplined men equals less fuckery in society. That is going to be, okay, my formulation. I'm just saying. Now I'm going to let you ponder on that, because I'm going to go to one of the other. It's not even
a ponder. Well, yeah, go ahead, and then I'm
one of the other poll questions.
Poke some holes in that, because it's again, I don't know how many times I heard the word should, but as I've expressed to you, should has nothing to do with reality.
And I get that. But let's talk about reality, because the problem is we do not live in a reality. We live in a space of people saying my truth, my truth.
Who
my
says
truth?
That?
Women. Right? My truth.
Thank
like
you.
I want to hear my truth.
Thank you.
My truth. But again, to me, I'm a big believer that men run society. Period. Don't like.
But men have never ran sex. Never.
But
until now we have to.
Thank you. Have to.
So you're sitting there on your pedestal just preaching from it like should. And that's what I'm just trying to expect to. Men will. I'm certain of it.
I hope so. Men, I hope y'all
certain
listen.
of it.
You have to.
I'm certain of it.
Because again, I watch these shows.
Top, I'm talking about it, at the bottom. I don't know what they're gonna do, and I don't really care. But I know the top has always adjusted. Always. As men, we wouldn't even be here anymore if we didn't.
And here's the thing. The top is responsible for the adjustment, because nowadays that's who the women want. The women
and then
want
everything
the
filters down
and then
from
everything
there.
Has to filter down.
Exactly.
So,
but again, men had to catch up to this.
The next poll question: does a high body count equal lack of sexual discipline? Yes or no?
In general, that's where it's like it's unfortunately it's a double standard, because for a man to have a high body count, he has to have a high perception of his worth at least. Because how is he knocking down all these females? Being a bum? Where do bums have mad bitches?
North America, the United States of America. How many men who ain't got jobs got several baby mamas because they look good?
And look at the women.
Erica Badu wouldn't be having a song, "You Better Call Tyrone."
And that's what I'm saying. This is all new. This is all modern stuff. Like very modern, actually. You know what I mean? Women running around financially supporting men. That's new. That's relatively new.
Back to my question. Does a high body count equal lack of sexual discipline? What say ye?
I say in general, yeah, but I think it's a man has to earn a high body count. A woman doesn't.
No, that's fact. So it was split. It was 50% yes and 50% no. Here's the thing. Even as a woman, I would say it does. Because if we are sexually disciplined, not everything that comes to us we want, right? Like, again, it's funny how we can be disciplined in every other parts of our body, in our life, but when it comes to our body, we want to be free. Again, I'm not sitting here on my pedestal and acting like I was the greatest with that, but that was something that I had to learn over time. Like, no, again, because I had a fear of children.
Here's my thing. When in history have women had more sex than men?
Now I feel.
Thank you. This is all new. No one knows what to do when it's a brand new situation. It's completely new.
Well, the male coalition needs to come together. Y'all need to have a conversation.
But at what point is the women going to address the women? Like, damn, when did it be cool to be a slut?
It's not. It's not, but it's lucrative to be a slut. But am I the one going on OnlyFans to give Amber Rose and what's the other one, Black China and all those women money? No, I'm not.
And that's a different argument.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Having that is lucrative right now. So why would a woman change it? OnlyFans made what did you say? $3.2 billion in the last year or 2 years in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? The man who owns OnlyFans made $500 million over that period of time. I'm not subscribing to OnlyFans and watching her. Y'all are
90% men. And that is so bad. Like, fellas, you got nothing better to do with your money. But again, tricks is gonna be tricks. And here's another kicker. It's like dudes that get women hate tricks. Literally hate them. Because it's like, you make it so hard, bro.
Well, the CHOP team makes a good point. Men talk all the time. Who's talking to the women? And I will agree with that. We, as women, we are not holding each other accountable in the way that we should, which is why I've gotten a lot of shit on this show and our other show when I talk about accountability. I get shit all the time on social media because I use that word over and over again, and women do not want to hear that shit. And so, yes, as women's voices, we have to be louder and hold other women accountable for bad behavior. Simple, period, point blank. I'm lucky that I have a friends group that we've done that for 20 plus years. However, I am finding, again, now living in America, that things are very, very different here. You can't say anything about women, much as Black women in this country, without people going, don't say this, right? Now, with that said, I'm still going to go back and say that it is up to men, because you've always run the world.
But we've never ran sex.
And it's time that you do that by being more sexually disciplined and curbing the hell out of some of us women who do not deserve to have your dick. I don't know why men don't consider their dicks as precious as we consider our pum pum, right? Like
we've never had to.
Y'all gots to now.
It was always been a numbers game for us.
Y'all gots to now, because the numbers.
But you have to understand how screwed up it is. It's like you've got it's top heavy and ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, and yes, that's men's fault. But we've had the conversation before. Do you want to be a hoe?
No.
I don't have a big problem with it.
Of you being a hoe?
No.
Well, you were a hoe.
Thank you. But I wasn't a hoe. I was a homemaker.
Yes, you were a homemaker.
As I said, I love that. Like, yo, a man, because I have to earn my body count. You don't.
And now it's time for y'all to make women earn your
and that's
dick.
and that's just because of a crazy unnatural order.
This is a good question. So thank you, the Chop team. So he's made a comment and a question. He said, men is held accountable in the legal system. Facts. He says, what does men controlling sex look like? And I don't.
It's what I'll take that, the Chop team. It looks very alien, bro. It looks very alien. It looks like you have to behave sexually like a woman, but still move like a man. You feel what I'm saying with that? Is what she's saying. Since women have lost control of the narrative that chastity is a good thing for a woman, men have to exercise it. And I'm not saying that dudes ain't going to chop, because that's always going to be the case. Because here's the thing, like it's so difficult to put that all on men, because y'all curb publicly.
Mm-hmm.
We curb silently because we don't want to mess up that access to sex. So once I ruled you out of being taken serious, I'll still cut you, I'll still chop you, but I'm not ever going to take you serious. It's always been on the woman to realize, oh, this man is not taking me serious, I got to leave him alone. That's kind of always been the relationship. But now we're not in that space anymore, and I understand that. Now it's like, if that woman is not, because the cost for a man
is too high
these days. You know what I'm saying?
It's
that's
too
really
high.
Where it comes from. And I think that's where men have no choice and will adapt, because the cost is so high. Like, if
here, can I just stop you for a second? You made a good point. Y'all would curb women after the sex. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Now we have to curb them before.
Now you got to curb them before.
Now we got to curb them.
Now you got to actually say, you don't qualify to be with me, ma'am.
The days of like, yo, like, nah, I don't take her serious. I just smash her. Like, that's fellas need to get out of that, because you're gonna lose in that.
Because that's why on your little show, Fresh and Fit, there you have so many women who talked about they dated a professional athlete or dated a celebrity when they only got pumped and dumped by them. Because that man gave them so much access to them, they feel like that meant that they were dating, and they got pumped and dumped. And I'm sorry, ladies, a lot of us have gotten pumped and dumped by men up here. Again, men up here do set the standard. And for a lot of women, rest in peace, Uncle Kevin Samuels, right? He talked about the fact that he never talked about athletes and entertainers because they were in a different category. He was talking about the CEOs and the doctors and the partners at the law firm, because guys that worked and made their way up and earned their way up. No disrespect to athletes.
Your career is front loaded. Right? Again, you're rich at 25 as an athlete. You're rich at 55 as a CEO.
Thank you. So at the end of the day, if men up here, and whether women, because I will put the athletes and the entertainers in the category, right? Men up here based on financial, all of these different things, height, again, the 666, right? If y'all men up here, and I'm talking specifically to a man like you, would curb women and say you do not qualify. You got to that point in your life. Like my entry into Rob's life as a 43, 44-year-old man was not my entry point if we were 22. I would have been able to slide in there a hell of a lot easier. And the reality, he's probably maybe not have taken me seriously. And I probably wouldn't even have talked to Rob. We talk about that all the time. Us, crossing paths when we're younger probably wouldn't happen. But you had learned enough to know that I had to be qualified. And if I did not pass, you go, y'all need to do that a hell of a lot more when in sex. And listen, I love sex. I think sex we've got a very healthy, amazing, wonderful sex life. But it's because you pre-qualified me and said, is sex with this woman gonna fuck up my life? or is it going to make my life better? And some of y'all need to start thinking about that, because sex has fucked up a lot of your lives because you don't have sexual discipline. You got babies out there with women that you would have never saw a future with. You wanted to pump and dump, and you dumped a little bit too hard, and she said, bingo, and had your baby. You need, I'm telling you, men.
It's a lot of facts.
Again, I'm not putting it entirely on men, because again, women, we need to
talk about it from that perspective because it's right now and we're talking about the future moving forward. But you know, it's again, I'm and it's not like I'm defensive or offended or nothing like that, but it's like from the societal perspective, absolutely, you know what I mean? But from the sex aspect, I don't know. And then let me ask you, as a woman, as a man, how do I fight feminism?
Shit, as a woman, how do I fight feminism?
Audience, how do you fight feminism? How do you fight feminism? You can't say anything against it.
How do I fight feminism? I think feminism does play a part because it is behind the free to be me and all of those different stuff, and the idea behind, again, let me always repeat, feminism was about choice when it started. It was not about equality, and it was not about, sexual liberation that people added to that and all of these different things. It was the ability to make a choice, and having a choice to be able to go to where you want and vote and all of these different things, wanting to stay home or not stay home, get into the workforce,
if you wanted to be
all
a
of those
housewife,
different
you
things.
could be a housewife.
Exactly, right? And now it's come to a place of equality, which is what it was not fundamentally about. However, I truly think at the end of the day, I'm going to get to that comment in a second, is that I think if men took the reins, you would be surprised how things would change. Let me, I'm going to read
that
this.
Was a pretty good
comment and get to it. God, did I miss it?
What's going on? Everybody that just joined in too.
So CST_notarized me says, we are blaming each other when the truth be told, it's social media. It's not women nor men. It's what's being pumped into us.
Facts. I agree with that. I also think that as men, like it's a song that it's like a Meek Mill song back in the day, I think, Frank. But it's these hoes is acting up and these niggas is letting them. And that was the hook of the song. And look at where we at now. And that's really what's going on, is because, fellas, we have been rewarding bad behavior, man. Like, we say we don't like BBLs, but we be chopping them up.
Chop, and spending money at them on the strip
club. We say we don't like strippers, but we be blowing bags in there. And by we say somebody that's really kind of curbed that strip club behavior, because it's
because the strip clubs here are terrible.
I digress. And the experience is terrible. Now, I ain't gonna front. Like, most strippers ain't even friendly no goddamn more.
Yeah, I remember when that was a requirement to be a dancer.
Like, they're not even friendly.
No. You ain't gonna spend no money on me. They even do that. They kind of give me that attitude when I'm in there with him. Like, I'm not obligated to spend money on you. I don't even like you.
Oh my God. Facts.
Like, you look like you've not been in the gym since you came out of your mother's womb. Like, I'm not spending shit on you.
Diversity has definitely made it to the strip club.
Yeah, they definitely made it.
Body positivity has definitely made it to the strip club. And I'm not knocking that, but it's not what I want to throw my dollars
at. So I'm going to actually comment to this, and says, I'm an old school, and I realized that more and more as I've aged. I'm an old school West Indian parent, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't blame social media for nothing. I blame parenting.
Yes.
And I blame choices that we make once we have gone out into the world. I cannot look at my 21-year-old, and if she makes bad choices, say that social media made her do it. No, I clearly went wrong as a parent. And then she decided to make choices that gave her consequences that she now has to deal with.
Yeah, we reckoning with some of that in our house personally. Like, you can't let social media raise your child. And I get it, you want your child to have entertainment, but like that's also, because I've heard the argument that boredom is only like 200 years old.
Ooh!
You ever heard that?
This is a good one. And I think it got cut off a little bit, but again, CST_notarized me says, women are being taught that we should be independent, which causes us to have a certain mindset. Our bodies are most important instead of who we are. Men are forced to bow down and submit to these, and I'm assuming she was continuing to say independent women.
Pretty much, because it's if you're just an average dude, it's a bad time to, like, and I'm not saying it like that because like that's what I'm saying, the sex industry, attention-based economy shit, like it's all skewed towards girls. And again, if you're a 25-year-old plumber's apprentice making 42, 43K, but your 25-year-old stripper girlfriend is making 12 bands a month, you can't have any leadership in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Because we've gotten to where we celebrate financial success so much that we've lost all other sight of all other forms of success. Getting back to parenting.
Well, that's
where you could be a successful person just for raising good kids. But now everybody's so busy chasing the fucking bag that we've lost all sight on, damn, what are you sending out there to the world every day? The last 20, 30 years has been the worst parenting in civilization.
No, we've got a really terrible set of people out there in this world. Well, CST, again, notarized me, is making a point. We subconsciously are what we eat. You can be a great parent, but our children peers are more of an influence than parents. Well, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to go back to what they said earlier, because there are too many independent women. When you're an independent woman, that means you are alone. Let's just talk about what independence means. I keep saying to people, listen, in order to raise certain children, all that independence is alone. You actually need people in this world. We're a society that requires interdependence. And whether it is not, because there are many reasons why, again, there are single income households, but there are not reasons why you don't have strong male figures in the life of your children. So when you're out there being independent and you're alone trying to figure it out, you're trying to make the bag, you're trying to climb up the ladder, you're trying to do all of those things, and you're not paying attention to what's happening to your child. So I'm always going to go back. Right. My mother doesn't know anything I've done in my career. My mother couldn't tell you where I've traveled in the world. She couldn't tell you who I've dealt with, but she will tell you, what she will tell you is what a hell of a mother I am.
Well, this goes back to like a season 1 comment where I made this statement of like, how can you call yourself a successful woman and your family is out of order, you know? And that was really targeted towards these quote unquote boss babes, where it's like, oh, I'm the director of marketing for Coca-Cola. I make $250,000 a year, but both of your kids strung out on Xannies. Like, how are you successful? Help me understand that.
Because success to money,
and that's why I said this whole flip, and it's not been for the good. Because historically, a woman's greatest successes happened in the home.
Agreed.
Like I said, mom gave up her dream so everybody else could fulfill theirs. And that was her dream. But now it's like, mom wants to be the boss. Like literally be the boss. And then that's such cap, because most women, when they get to that point of truly everything is on them, you're miserable.
It's not an easy place. I've been there.
You're miserable.
I've been there. But I still had to balance.
You want to give that burden up because women don't have a burden of performance. Men do. You know what I'm saying? I exchanged my independence for peace. You exchange your independence for freedom.
Agreed.
You get to do what you want to do within these 4 walls.
And I enjoy my life.
We're not going to say you get to do what you want to do, but you know what I'm saying? Within reason. And that's...
You know, that was like abusive language to some people. Like, she doesn't get to do what she wants to do.
But that's where I say, that's where social media...
It's really triggering.
Well, that's where the social media piece hits so back in. Because again, when I came up, it was always a mentality, especially in the Black community, of like, you don't air your dirty laundry. What happens in the home stays in the home. Your family business is your family business. And now, because of social media, people care more about what people think outside of their house
than what's going on
than
in their
they do what's actually going on in their home.
Yeah.
It's like everything's a facade. It's okay to like as long as we look like we're happy, it doesn't matter if we all a bunch of miserable asses in here. Like as long as we look like we're happy, you know what I mean? It's like the house with the immaculate exterior, and
but the inside
you go
shit.
inside and it's
Yeah.
and a hoarder
Yeah.
lives there and it's
Yeah.
trash.
Yeah. So, you're on it today, CST.
Oh yes, we love the participation.
Women are consistently giving up things. A lot of women don't choose this boss life, but as always, we are responsible for everyone needs and wants and kids to take money, which requires mothers to be bosses. I'm going to debunk that for a second. And that's why I'm going to say this. We choose who's born. Simple. If we don't want the life of single motherhood, don't give the highest honor we can give to a man who hasn't given us the highest honor of becoming our husband. Now, hold on. Sorry, with that said, I understand that divorces happen, but divorces happen at a higher rate in our community because, again, irreconcilable differences in Black homes, which honestly means we're not happy. He's not beating you. He's not emotionally abusive. He hasn't slept with your best friends and your sister and had babies outside. We just need to be happy because things have to be happy. First of all, we're responsible for our own happiness. That's number one. And number two, marriage is not about happiness. It's about people coming together and building and growing together. So yes, I have been in a situation because I have been a woman who raised a child primarily on my own in a single income household. I do not call myself a single parent because her father was very active and very much around, even when we did not always agree on the things that need to be had. The reason I only have one child is because that's what I chose. I could have had a bag of load of babies. This is going to be my second marriage. My husband wanted a baby. I've had long-term boyfriends who had a baby, and I said, no, I don't give a crap how much you love me. I am not going to be out here being responsible for kids that I don't actually want just because I love you. Now I'm good, because that's not going to make me happy. Parenting did not make me happy. Motherhood did not make me happy. I had to find happiness somewhere. So I get all of that. And that's the problem that feminism has given to us, is that it's telling us we have these choices and equality and bullshit, but we are the ones left holding the bags when those relationships don't last, and we got to raise these babies that we had because of love or whatever the fuck we had them for. And so that is my issue. We need to be responsible because we decide who was born, and we need to stop having babies for fuck boys who only wanted to fuck us. Like, simple. Seriously. That is my comment.
You can read her next comment.
She said, we don't always know that we will become single parents. I love my kids enough to know that I want them to have peace, and sometimes that requires mom being alone. I have 3 beautiful babies and I love them. And God bless you, girl. I think that is amazing. But the reality is it still comes back to the point that we choose the babies. As women, we need to remember men choose sex, women choose babies. Like, let's just call it what it is. Most of these men will tell you anything that they want to while they're fucking our pum-pum. That is facts. I have been told the moon and the sun and the stars rises and the sun sets with me when a man is deep in me. Is he showing you through his actions, through wanting you to be his wife, through wanting to be committed, all of those different things? Men will tell you everything under the sun. Girl, I have heard it all. Trust me, I have seen it all. I have been to... But it did not mean that said to me, oh, that means I have a baby with you, because you did not care to give me the highest honor. Because guess what? When I become your wife, I'm not just getting child support, I'm getting alimony, and you're going to think twice about separating our family when you're legally tied. Trust me, we both know, as people who are divorced.
Too, because we are
739.
And I understand that. And here's the thing. So many modern women have been sold a vicious, horrible lie. And that lie is that marry before you carry was a lie, or that was not exactly what it needs to be. And here I'm gonna get into a few reasons to why that is.
And hold on, she's made a comment. I was married and we never thought we would be apart. And I agree with that. I agree with that. Sometimes we don't, but I not to get in your business, and you can decide if you say that. I'd love to know who filed for divorce and what was the reason behind the divorce, because I agree with you. Social media is selling us a crock of crap, right? Social media is a highlight reel of everybody's life. It's a highlight reel. It is selling us crap. And all of this crap that it's selling us, no one is committed to the commitment of staying together because it's hard.
It is.
This shit is hard. It is very, being in a relationship is the hardest thing I do because it's easy for me to be independent and alone. I don't have to deal with anybody else. I don't have to deal with their crap, especially when you, again, I don't know how old your kids are, but I know mine's is 21. And when she turned 18, I felt free. I didn't feel trapped. When I was a mother, I felt trapped. I was like, I can't do my own thing because I'm responsible for rearing you and making you a good person. So when you are alone, it is an easy thing to do. When you join yourself with somebody else, it's the hardest damn thing. And the world, especially feminism, and thank you, the CHOP team, that he said feminism was being debunked. He said this earlier. But the reality is feminism saying, girl, you can do it all, and we can do it all, and we can have everything, and leave that man. Oh, you're not happy. He doesn't make you happy. It's bullshit. Anyways, I had a moment.
Yeah, it's a lot of uncomfortable, tough truths to this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because like, again, to quote the Godfather, Kevin Samuels used to say it all the time. Like, our great grandmothers had infinitely harder lives. Our great grandfathers had infinitely harder lives than us, but they didn't complain or make excuses anywhere near as much as we do. And I know it's gonna sound like we really on our high horse on this episode, and that's relatively new. You know, I said a couple of weeks ago we was at a luncheon, older Black gentleman spoke, and he really kind of laid into it, man. And it was just like, damn. Again, Black people used to hold ourselves to the highest standard, and we're very, very, very fallen from that. And that's what we want to try to bring the conversation back to, not on why, how we get here, and what's the road back. And I think we're pretty much in agreement with a lot of it. It starts with sexual discipline. It starts with better parenting. It starts with circling our mentalities around, look, the Bible even say, envy not thy oppressors. Let's be honest. One of the biggest mistakes that we made was start modeling our community after the people that had us messed up in the first place. Let's just be honest. Because we didn't have as many shenanigans when we had nothing. And now they say Black people have the highest purchasing power in this nation, but we don't do nothing with it. We get no respect with it.
So she said, I left. We were not being faithful, and it was very toxic, and I wanted out. LOL. I love my babies to death, though. And I get that.
I get that.
I completely get that. But at the same time, and again, I want to go to Rob's high horse comment. We're completely not on our high horse and we talk from experience. I understand what it is to be in a marriage that really shouldn't have been a marriage. Mm-hmm. I didn't have babies out of it, thank God, but I understand that he had babies while we were married. I did not. Right. And I knew that was a situation that I didn't just leave. It took me a second. I'm the product of an affair. It took my stepmother a second, who raised me, to eventually divorce my father. And she did so after basically, the kids were a little bit older, all those things. And listen, I hear a lot of modern women say our mothers and our grandmothers were, slaves to our fathers and grandfathers and how terrible it is. But you said something that was key. There was a level of shame that you had in the community when you made choices that others could judge. You didn't want to be the family that others judge. And I have a thing right now where I'm like, you don't do shit in front of the others, right? And it's not because we're having secrets. It's just I have a certain level of decorum in my life. Right. I hold myself as a woman to a very high standard, and I have a certain level of decorum. And we need to bring some of that back. We need to bring better choices back. We need to be teaching children that choices have consequences, and you can go out there and do what you want, but understand that there's a consequence to your action.
And I also get it, like when I say bring, and then this is something, again, personally challenged with every day, dealing with how am I implementing this? To bring strict parenting back, you got to be more strict yourself. Again, discipline starts with you. I can't discipline no kids if I'm running around here with my hair on fire. Same thing goes for her. And
as a society,
we have, and again, we're not in order. We're in a mess. As a society, we're in shambles. And that's a big part of the show is we're really just proposing, like, let's take a step back, talk about it, and really figure out like how to move forward, because all of this is not good. I never thought, like she said, with my hoish ways, that I'd be an advocate for slowing down. That casual sex ain't really cool. Like it causes too many problems. You know what I mean?
Well, people are having casual sex and casual babies.
Casual families, casual babies, casual relationships. Casual sex in and of itself is not a bad deal. But then again, that was that came about in an environment where sex before marriage was still shamed. So the people that was choosing not to go that way could do their thing or whatever. But it wasn't like they was moving with the mainstream with that behavior. Now the mainstream is like, again, even us with our crazy stuff, it's like there's nothing that anyone can say, because it's like there's so much more going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more going on. And it's just like, I don't know, like bottom line is, male or female in this day and age, you got to be careful who you let in your life, period.
Well, that leads us to our final poll question before our questionable. Should body count disqualify a dating prospect? Yes or no?
I don't want to say no, but you can make the argument for yes. And then it's at what point? And I think it's really your personal
Pick
appetite.
a side, pick a side.
Based on the individual's appetite, then yeah. Because whether a high number is 5, 10, or 50, that's going to be to a person's preference. But I think most people, when you start talking about a person that's way outside of that number, you start looking at them a little crazy.
So yes, 45%, and no, 55%. And that's interesting because that is such a sensitive topic that people don't talk about, right? Like, you don't talk about body count. But if I go back to the idea that a more sexually disciplined male species equals less fuckery, if you guys disqualified us based on that, I think we would move differently.
Yeah.
We would, because if you knew that a lower body count meant a better quality of man, less women would be out there free to be me and on the sexual liberation trip, because they wouldn't qualify for the men that they want.
No, and I can't get away with that. A good example of that would be if Future was out there like, I'm not being with nobody until they demonstrated to me that they're a good, solid, God-fearing woman, for instance. You know what I'm saying?
He wouldn't have 8 babies.
He wouldn't have groupies coming at him. He'd have church women coming at him.
I don't know if he wants that.
You know what I'm saying? But they'd be coming at him in a different way. They'd be bringing apple pies and all that other stuff like historically they've done. So I can't shirk at all the fact that men are the solution to this shit, definitely. But again, men, it's kind of confusing for us, and many men are still adjusting, because it's always been, we controlled relationships, y'all controlled sex. Feminism done put it to where now we control both. We have to, for our own survival, basically.
Y'all better stock up on the male condoms and male birth controls and all of those different things and start truly controlling it.
They repealing Roe v. Wade, make it even more of an excuse. And again, that's just on a federal level, but that's just such an interesting law to attack too at the same time. Like, if y'all think this stuff is coincidence, y'all crazy. You know that, right? If you think all of this stuff going on in the world, the war in Ukraine, all of this stuff is just happening, like, no, these are calculated strategic moves, man. Like, ain't nobody throwing around trillions of dollars on whims.
Well, they also now have the new rule in Georgia that you can claim child support from conception. And if you don't know who the daddy is, you can wait until the blood test, and then you can retroactively go back, and he owes you 9 months of child support for while the baby was in your belly. Yeah. Like, this is now the world we live in.
That's what you do. That's what we're dealing with, fellas. So we still gonna blame women, because we sound kind of like the women when we constantly blaming women.
Especially if you're considering yourself the head. If you're the lead, then you lead.
Facts. And as I said, the CEO's job is to make sure everyone else is doing their job. So again, to the fellas, that's the way that it's got to be moving forward, and it always will be. Like, again, if she's not behaving right, why is she in your life?
And again, if you're going to complain about all these women out here having babies, when you encounter a woman with a whole bunch of babies and a whole bunch of baby daddies, again, the same way I did it when a man told me he had 7 kids and 7 baby mamas, I went, mine pum dried up. Yeah. Simple. It was like, I was just like, I could not imagine, sir, you breathe on me. I don't care how fine you are. The man was fine. It's fine. But I don't care how fine you are. You have 7, you get every woman pregnant, and then they just have your baby. Yeah, I'm not going to join that. I don't care how much, and then I don't care how much money you got, because he had money and was financially taking care of all of them. I don't care. That is not for me. A lot of you men are not doing that, because again, a woman's coming to you and talking about she got six kids and 6 baby daddies, and you guys are still like, oh, but look at that ass. She's still that, what, like, no. That's the thing. But and then on both sides too, like I said, it's always going to be a bottom, and we just, as a community, as a civilization, we got to stop concerning ourselves so much with what's at the bottom, and really deal with all of the chaos that's going on towards the top. And I understand a chain's only strong as its weakest link, but look, man, there's just some people that no matter what, they just not gonna do right, man. That's just, it is what it is. You know, that's the way it's always been. That's the way it's always gonna be. But it's like so much focus is getting put on that right now, instead of the folks that are adapting and adjusting and moving forward, like our audience. Like, that's the type of people we like to talk to, is that, look, man, like I love to say, I make a lot of mistakes. I just don't make the same ones over and over and over. Facts. But I make a million different mistakes. Because that's how you learn from life. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. But when you keep doing the same shit over and over and over again, and expecting a different result, that is the definition of insanity. And we live in a very insane world. Facts. So thank you, everybody, for participating. We are going to get to our question and answer bowl. If you do have questions for us, again, we are an open book, so feel free to ask questions. If not, we're going to call us out. I said, hey, just call it out if you feel like it. I said, call us out. That was a little spastic. I get it. But, excuse me. You know how it is. Is there anything I've done lately that made you feel loved? You know what? Give me your. Yeah, I will just pass that back. Yep. We'll keep that. So what have I done that made you feel loved? She's done some things. Let's just leave it at that. Sexual things. She's been. Let's say she's been on a mission to show me how much I'm appreciated, and I appreciate it. Definitely. Okay. I think I might be getting some appreciation after the show, actually. So. Whatever. Okay. Is there anything I did this week that pushed you away? I'm surprised I had this question in here, but I did. Is there anything that you did this week that pushed me away? Do I want to give a completely honest answer? Yes, because I'm an honest person. Our interaction yesterday, and I will leave it at that. Yeah, I get it. And that's about expected. I'm aware of that. I know that. But as I have to keep reminding you, I'm not you. We have different jobs, and we do them differently. But we also have to be on the same page. We absolutely are. When things need to be run a certain way. We absolutely are. And the problem is when you are not on the same page, that's what you're saying. That creates problems within an environment, because we have to be a team. I'm just saying. So where's the discourse? Yep. Next question. As I thought, like I said. No, you just moved on. I could have answered that, but you didn't want me to. It's like okay. Where do you want us to have our honeymoon? I'll tell you what. We'll make this interactive. What continent would you like to honeymoon on? That's a good question. I'm thinking Asia. Scheisse. And you're thinking Europe. I know you're thinking Europe. I think South America, actually. Really? Yeah. Where in South America? Like Peru. Interesting. I never even had Peru on the list. I have Thailand on my list, and I have Indonesia because I want to go
As
to
much as I
Bali.
want to, like, I think because of my like distaste for the ancient or like the old world, I'm really becoming. Well, it's something I've been, but the ancient world is a bit more appealing to me. So I was thinking like Machu Picchu would be
Like the
dope
ruins and
ass.
stuff
Yeah,
like that. And when we do a little bit of
something
a
like
tour.
that. Like yeah, and just old world, like because South America, you can really go off the grid and like where they go out back and kill your chicken before they fry it and shit like that. Like, and you just can't really get that
In
here
different
or
parts of the
in
world.
Europe
Okay.
and stuff like
I
that.
think
Probably in Asia,
Asia.
but
That's why I want to go to
I've
Asia.
been to India. I'm like, I do not want them going to kill no chicken and frying it up for me.
You're terrible. Okay.
No.
Oh God, this is going to be a heavy question. If a genie granted you 3 wishes right now, what would you wish for? The first one would to be able to get my father back, who just recently passed away. Number two, God, I actually don't know the other. I'm just gonna stick with one because I don't know the other things. I just want my daddy back.
All right. That's a good answer. And that was should have just been what would one wish.
I
Three
know.
is asking a
3 is
lot.
a
Like,
lot.
putting somebody on the spot with that. What, according to you, are the most important qualities a man must possess?
Ooh, good question.
Well, you can't have control over, you can't have sexual discipline without having control over your emotions. That is the most important characteristic a man can have is control over his emotions, because I think that's a big part of the problem in this modern world is you have males with a man's physicality, but a woman's emotionality. And that is a dangerous person, in my opinion.
There's that. All right, final question. Was there anything that surprised you about me as we were starting to get more serious? I kind of answered this question in season 1, and it's honestly what a sloth you are. Like, I really thought that you would be with me killing it in the gym, and you are super, super duper lazy in my eyes. Now, granted, this is through the eyes of a West Indian Jamaican woman. And I think most people in the world are lazy, right? Like I do. Jamaicans, we judge a lot of people. We think most of the world. And yes, we judge Americans very harshly. We think y'all are lazy. So I am going to preface it with the fact that I am Jamaican. And we think that most people are lazy. But that was the thing. Like, again, remember that Instagram I created? And I thought we were going to be killing it with all of these pictures of us in the gym and doing all of that. And we've been to the gym together twice. And I stayed longer.
Here's the other kicker, too. I don't even really like working out in tandem.
No, I'm not saying.
I like going to the gym by myself.
I get it, and that's fine. But at least even twice a week on the weekends, because I go 6 days a week. You go no days a week. So I really thought we were going to be out here killing it, like body goals and all this thing. And you've been to the gym twice, and we've been together almost 2 years. I'm just saying. I expected more from a. Remember, you said world-class athlete. I was expecting more from you, so I was very surprised that my world-class athlete was actually lazy as hell. Love you though.
I'm not offended at all.
So before we end, as usual, I have to thank our sponsor, Sorrel and Sage. Make sure that you visit them on Instagram at Sorrel and Sage CA and on their website at shopsorrelandsage.com. They've got amazing products, and if you reach out to the owner by email, she can actually customize products for you. She's amazing. Still waiting for our package, girl. So that we can showcase some of her products. And she does have a Shea butter that is amazing, not only for your skin, but for hair. So check it out. And just in case you didn't realize, it was named after me. Yes. Robert.
No, thank you everyone for joining. CST Notarize Me. Thank you very much for your participation. Everybody that joined, everybody that made a comment, everyone that's watching on YouTube. Remember, folks, if you came in or you want to watch the full show, go over to Fuck Your Feelings, the show on YouTube. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that stuff that all of the YouTube people say. Like, we're still not like in that mindset quite yet. Like, again, this is still more our therapy. That's really the catharsis for the catalyst for why we do this is cheaper than
the $250 an hour.
Some shrink to go sit in there and talk less comfortably than we actually talk to y'all, because this is not no big deal to me. I mean, I play ball. I've been speaking publicly my whole life. I've been in front of people my whole life. It irritates the hell out of me, but I don't mind doing it because we love y'all. It's an hour or two a week, and I really don't mind it all that much. But please, if you see us out in the streets, we would love for you to approach us, but just have some sense when you run up on us, because.
But like, I hate everything y'all say. Y'all full of shit.
Otherwise, it could be a little touchy.
No, I don't think that's our audience. I think that they're not going to think that we're completely full of shit, because we're not. Like, I like to say, we are not couple goals. We're just a couple trying to stay together. And that is the premise.
Committed to the commitment. We actually need to try to trademark that, because the world needs a lot more people to be committed to their commitments.
And not committed to their happiness. Because as I've always said, I'm unhappy once a day.
At least.
At least. I will take it. At least. And I understand that my happiness is my responsibility, not his. Because there are days I don't even know how to make myself happy. So how the hell am I going to expect for him to make me happy? But being committed to the commitment and seeing this through and working to build and grow, that is what we are committed to. And again, we also have the foundation of no disrespect.
Yep.
So let's get back to that. We don't know what the hell we're talking about next week, but it will be a good topic. If you have any topic ideas for us, hit us up in our DM or email us at fyftheshow@gmail.com. Until next time, guys, like I like to say, bring back some fuck your feelings into your life, or bring it into your life, because it may just make you stay together.
Big facts. Yeah. Like, give us some feedback. Hit us on the Fuck Your Feelings inbox and let us know what y'all want us to talk about next week. Please.
Please. Because we don't know.
We don't.
Thank you so much. Have a good one, everybody. Bye, Instagram.
Bye-bye.
See you next week. And YouTube, we out.
Thank you for joining.
I hope.
Good night.
Don't know why I'm having such difficulties. Bye, YouTube.